Now we're going to talk a little bit about how exactly would we measure binding and affinity, for instance. Like how would we actually be able to tell if a ligand binds very tightly to a ligand binding site or not? So let's remember our nomenclature. So if this is the iron in a myoglobin, so if this is in the iron 2 state, that's primed to be able to bind to oxygen now. Okay, and so when oxygen is not bound, we call that deoxymyoglobin. When O2 binds to this, and we should write this as an equilibrium because this is reversible. And so when O2 binds to this, we form the iron 2 O2, the O2 bound myoglobin, and we call that oxymyoglobin. Now, in practice, there are a lot of different ways to measure this equilibrium. For myoglobin, for the deoxy and oxymyoglobin, there's actually a different UV-vis absorption spectrum. So if you see the slide on the right-hand side, the dash spectrum in this left panel of the slide is deoxymyoglobin. So that's when O2 is not bound. The solid trace is when oxygen is bound. So that's oxymyoglobin. And so you can see that the lambda maxes of these two shift. So without oxygen on, this peak is at 429 nanometers, whereas when O2 is bound, this shifts to 414 nanometers. And so we can use that information to make what's called a ligand binding curve. And so that's shown here in this figure on the right-hand side, and we denote that as, on the y-axis, we have theta, and that's theta is equal to the ratio of protein with O2 bound. So in practice, what that would look like in this case is theta equals the concentration of iron 2O2 over the total concentration of the enzyme. So where MB is the concentration of all the enzyme, either in the iron 2 form or in the iron 2 O2 form. So in either the O2 unbound form or the O2 bound form. Okay, and so the x-axis in this case, and we'll talk about this in a bit, is the pressure of oxygen. So another way to think about that is the concentration of oxygen. And you'll see on the right-hand side that this ligand binding curve reaches an asymptote up here. And so the question is, how do we interpret this? What does this tell us about how strong a ligand can bind to the protein?